Transportation in major cities in Nigeria has taken a different turn since the introduction of ride-hailing services enabled by technology. It has provided employment for many and made transportation easier and relatively cheaper. However, because of its peculiarity, the dynamic between drivers and passengers comes with its own conflicts. Drivers and passengers often complain about their interactions with one another. Many issues like courtesy on the part of passengers and drivers, being kept waiting for too long, where a passenger chooses to sit for the ride, the direction of the trip, and many more are some of the causes for conflict in this short relationship. Lawa, a hail ride driver, shares some of his experiences.
At times, some of them will set location. The map or the app will automatically give them another location. So by the time you get to the location, on the address, you call them, they tell you, sorry, I'm sorry, I should have told you. The map used to do like that, used to take people to another state, go and turn and come back. You know, that can be ridiculous. And at times, you know, the Lagos traffic, whatever, that the route you pass now, or probably before you even got through, it was hell. Now, having to go back, it can be very irritating.
How is this relationship supposed to be navigated? Mutual respect is key, and under no circumstances should riders or drivers disrespect the other. Riders should respect the vehicle they are in and should leave the vehicle in the condition in which they found it. Unruly behavior such as damaging the vehicle is not tolerated. Using bad language is also not tolerated. Being aggressive or discriminatory can also get a rider banned from using the app. Although friendly conversation doesn't do any harm during a trip, respect should be upheld at all times. Both riders and drivers should give each other space and should not make each other feel uncomfortable. Getting to a destination safely is a top priority. This is why drivers need to adhere to the rules of the road, for example, by sticking to the speed limit, not driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, not texting while driving. Drivers should always take a break if they are tired. Riders should play their part by wearing their seatbelts and not trying to cram in extra people when there aren't enough seatbelts. Riders also need to refrain from bringing alcohol or banned substances into the vehicle and should not ask a driver to go faster than the speed limit. As a rider, request your ride inside. To minimize the time that you're standing outside by yourself with your phone in your hand, instead, wait inside until the app shows that your driver has arrived. Check your ride. Every time you take a trip, ensure you're getting into the right car with the right driver by matching the license plate, car make and model, and driver photo with what's provided on your app. Have the driver confirm your name. In addition to the check your ride safety steps, you can also ask the driver to confirm your name before you get in the car. Your driver sees your first name in your app and your driver's first name is displayed to you in your app. Be a backseat rider. Whenever possible, sit in the back seat, especially if you're riding alone. This helps ensure that you can safely exit on either side of the vehicle to avoid moving traffic, and it gives you and your driver some personal space. Share your trip details with loved ones. While en route, tap Share Trip Status in the app to share your driver's name, photo, license plate, and location with a friend or family member. Be kind and respectful. Please respect fellow passengers and your driver and their car. As for drivers, here are the standard procedures required.
After a rider books a ride, you drive immediately to the location, and then until you get to the location, you don't click arrive, which most drivers, that is where they have their own faults too. So immediately they pick your ride, they click arrive. And normally the app owners have given 5 minutes of grace The moment you get to a place, after 5 minutes, the person doesn't come out. It will start charging the person certain amount of money. So, but by the time you click arrive, when the trip is, when getting to the location will take you 9 minutes, and you have clicked arrive. So 4 minutes into his own time, you have started charging him, and you have not even at the location yet. Now, that is actually not good, which I hardly do. The only time I do it is when I'm booked in an estate, and I get to the gate, and they say call the person to come out. Immediately before I call the person, I click arrive, because that's the estate. So I'm having to navigate my way through that his own cup of tea. When I click arrive, then the person has 5 minutes before he will start being charged by the app. So after 5 minutes that I've clicked arrive, the person will start being charged. Then once the person gets in and will click start, then I'll ask the person, can we move? He say yes. Then I'll click starting up of the trip. So once I click on that, the trip starts. Then we continue moving.
Sex education is just becoming more popular in Nigerian culture. But an aspect we often neglect is sexual health communication. How comfortably do people communicate their sexual health challenges with health workers when the need arises?
People have different personality types, but generally, people are usually very shy when it comes to talking about like their sexual health. They have complaints that have to do with reproductive, like that have to do with the genitals or something related to sex, you know. They're usually like, there's this sense of shame, there's this sense of embarrassment. I usually look at it this way. Number one, there are many people that did not come.
Can you remember the last time you were at the doctor's and you wanted to complain about a sexual health challenge? How comfortable were you? What tactic did you employ to explain your predicament to the doctor?
There are people that come, but when they come, they are not going to say their complaints, because when they got to the hospital, they choke, in quote. Like, they just feel like, no, I can't say this thing, because they feel so embarrassed about it. And the people that don't come, what they do is they talk with a friend that they feel that, hey, this person is going to understand and is not going to judge me. And so the people that come and they choke, they'll just tell you another complaint. So that's not the reason why they came to the hospital. So they'll just tell you something else, like something that is not related to their, and to the main complaint that, you know, brought them to the hospital. And one thing I noticed is that while they are telling that complaint, they're actually assessing the doctor. Like, am I really going to say my main complaint? Like, they want to know how this person is. Is this person going to judge me? Is this person a free person? So they are looking at like your attitude at that time. Is the person angry? I mean, these are my own conclusions based on my experience. So I've seen patients that will come and they'll say something, they'll say that complaint, and then you ask them all the questions about that complaint, and when it gets to the end, they'll not say, hey doctor, now we've ended or we've finished, we've gotten to the, now say, hey doctor, one more thing. And then they'll go to, I have this, I've come to understand now that some people, is not, that thing is not one more thing. That is actually the thing that brought them to the hospital.
Many things go through the mind of a patient when they go to the hospital to complain about their sexual and reproductive health challenges. Shame and fear of judgment rank very high. According to a Washington Post article, we are taught to feel shame around our sexuality from a young age as our bodies develop and start to function in ways we're unfamiliar with, as we begin to realize our body's potential for pleasure. Religious and cultural leanings are responsible for this sense of shame.
The lady came, she sat down. What's your complaint? She had written it in a paper. She now passed it to me. Like, passed me the complaint. Okay, I looked at it. I'm like, I can see you.
It's my hero.
You are here. Tell me, what brought you to the hospital? She passed it. And I read it. I said, okay, I understand.
Condoms are available everywhere. The advertisement and sensitization to use condoms is abundant. But how much of the information and resources is committed to tackling the inherent shame around purchasing a condom? Even with a plethora of information, resources committed to educating people about sex and taking care of their bodies, many people are still uncomfortable discussing it, even when their health is at risk.
And it's worse for men. You know, females, even though it's difficult, they still come to the hospital. Men will not come unless the thing is now a big trouble under, and they're now like, okay, I cannot continue. Like, it's now maybe like a sore is in one part of the body and it's getting bigger, and you know, all the things their friends told them is not working.
Many times, people are shy or ashamed to walk into a pharmacy to buy condoms or morning after pills, or even make a complaint to a doctor about their sexual health concerns. This shame leads to people engaging in unprotected sex and unhealthy sexual practices. Another factor that keeps many from accessing healthcare is judgment from healthcare workers that may affect their experiences. Prioritizing your sexual health is something to be proud of, and a doctor or pharmacist is there to help you. Many patients won't go to the hospital to complain about their sexual health concerns because they're ashamed. It is the duty of healthcare professionals to make them comfortable enough. However, some healthcare professionals let their personal biases get in the way when discussing sexual health concerns with their patients. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, here are some of the ways you can make your patient comfortable to discuss their sexual health concerns with you as a healthcare worker. Assess your own comfort by discussing sex with various patient groups. Identify any biases that you may have if you're uncomfortable talking about sex and sexuality. Your patient will be too. Avoid making assumptions about your patient based on age, appearance, marital status, and any other factor. Use neutral and inclusive terms such as partner. Make your patient feel comfortable by establishing a rapport before asking sensitive questions. Ask other people to step into the waiting room while you talk to your patient. These people may include partners, relatives, or caregivers. They can be invited back after the examination. Let your patient know that you ask everyone these questions. Transition into asking sensitive questions. Pose your questions in a non-judgmental manner. Try not to react overtly, even if you feel uncomfortable or embarrassed. Pay attention to your body language and posture. Rephrase your questions or briefly explain why you're asking a question if a patient seems offended or reluctant to answer. Ensure that you and your patient share an understanding of the terms being used to avoid confusion. If you're not familiar with the term your patient used, ask for an explanation. Being online has become a part of our every waking moment. From the moment we wake up in the morning till we hit the pillow at night, we are browsing, scrolling through social media, responding to messages. We live our lives online almost as much as we live it in reality. These anonymous interactions, like any other human interaction, comes with complexity and challenges. People get into civil discussions, debates, banter, and share with one another. With these interactions come disagreements, arguments, conflicts that can soon degenerate into trolling, bullying, and general unpleasantness. The discretion we employ in face-to-face interaction is further decreased online. In fact, according to psychologist Robert Sutton, disrespectful, demeaning, and downright mean-spirited behavior is worse than ever. This behavior is especially true of online discourse, which researchers describe as the online disinhibition effect. Stanford psychology professor John Sula in 2004 said, "The online disinhibition effect can cause people to act out in either a benign manner, wherein they overshare their personal information, or in a toxic manner wherein they become abusive or threatening." "I am in my house, come and beat me," is a common saying online that alludes to the inaccessibility that emboldens even regular people to behave in less than civil ways online. Another factor responsible for this behavior, apart from anonymity and availability, is solipsistic introduction. A situation, according to Dr. Sula, where you don't have any physical cues associated with the person you're communicating with, and other person becomes just a voice in your head. As such, the people in your online conversations merely become characters in your imagination, formed by your own personal history and expectations. You might also hear his or her voice as your own, which makes you feel more comfortable with the other person and further lowers your inhibitions. As we have rules that guide our interactions in real life, unspoken rules need to be developed for our online interactions. Social media etiquette, or social mannerism simply put, means do's and don'ts for social media interactions. These etiquettes are also referred to as netiquettes. The term netiquette refers to all aspects of online communication, including email, instant messaging, social media, multiplayer gaming, and other forms of online communication. The main goal behind netiquette or mannerisms on social media is to treat others with respect and take care of intellectual property rights and associated implications. Personal information, images, or videos of anyone should not be shared without consent or mentioning credits where due. Except we seek to change such behaviors, it will pervade. Here are some social media netiquettes. When sending a DM, be polite and go straight to the point. When responding to posts, even if you disagree, be careful not to use condescending and insultive words. Take a 5-minute pause before you post any comments. Don't comment on topics that people tend to be passionate about. Don't respond to insults or hateful language. Don't say to people online what you won't have the audacity to say to them in person. Avoid excessive tagging of people. Ask before tagging people. Although it may seem inoffensive, tagging a friend or acquaintance on social media without their permission could in many ways cause problems for that person. Good social media etiquette means you should always request for permission before tagging anyone. Post only flattering pictures of other people. Apply the billboard test. Assume that everyone in the world can and will see everything you post. So if it's not billboard worthy, don't post it. Give credit where it's due. Don't post other people's photos or quotes without clear attribution. This means no screen grabs even if you have the best intentions. Instead, use a repost app to properly credit others with your own content. Think of the future you. Your taste will change, as will your sense of humor, but your photos will live on forever. Use caution when posting. Don't take screenshots of other people's private moments that they shared with you in confidence.
We're glad to know that you're still there. It's time now to look at the papers and see what made it to the front pages of some of our national dailies. And we are glad to have our guest here to review the papers with us, Mr. Opunabo Inkotaria, a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. Well, we're beginning with the papers now that we're reviewing interesting headlines here. And the first paper we're starting with is the Independent, Daily Independent. Federal government looks to unlock $1 trillion debt capital to end borrowing. The writers on that paper, or on that headline, are that analysts say Nigeria can earn enough from its assets, and then they lament spending 98% of revenue on debt servicing. So government looks to unlock $1 trillion. How possible is this? We would like your comment on that.
Sorry, Junior, I hardly heard you.
Oh, okay. Let me take that again. The first headline, the Daily Independent leads with federal government looks to unlock $1 trillion debt capital to end borrowing. The writer says, analysts say Nigeria can earn enough from its assets. So I would like your comment on that, if you heard me now.
Well, definitely. It's all about sincerity of purpose. The problem has never been policies or implementation of policies. We've always had problems with implementing our policies. If you unlock, and at the end of the day, there is no sincerity of purpose, it will go the same way the others went. So we have enough resources, both human and natural, to prevent us from borrowing. We have enough resources to help us be the true giant of Africa and one of the major competitors in the world market. But then, these resources are frittered away by a microscopic few. Those who believe that the essence of being in government is to further or line their pockets. So Nigerians are sick and tired of the rhetorics. They are no longer interested in the rhapsodies, promises, because in most cases our promises, our hopes are dashed, dreams of a better future shipwrecked. So what we are interested in is the implementation. We want to see what these policies are and not the media hype given to the policies before their implementation. That is my take on that.
Okay. Okay, so to take the next headline here, still Daily Independence. Appeal Court sacks Plateau governor, declares APC's Goshue winner. We've seen this happening within 1 week. We've seen so many governors being unseated, and the other governors are taking over, or according to the courts, they are supposed to be sworn in now. So this time we saw from Plateau State, the governor was sacked. Remember, in Kano as well, the NNPP governor was sacked by the appeal court as well. And we've seen, I think, about 3 or 4 of these happening within the space of 1 week. So would like your take on what is happening.
How many APC got?
Yes, go ahead, please. We seem to have lost Opunago's audio, but as soon as we're able to reconnect with him, we will continue from where he stopped. We're talking about appeal court as sacking the governor of Plateau State and some other states also, like Kano State and all that.
We have Zamfara as well.
Yeah, okay, Zamfara State, Kano State, Plateau State. Okay. Hello, sir. We couldn't hear you for a while. Unmute yourself. Maybe it's mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. I'm very, very sorry for that. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So a lot of us have lacked confidence in the judiciary, where the tempest of justice blows faithfully, where we cherry pick in the administration of justice. And so you will see that the courts generally swing in the direction of the pendulum, the political pendulum. What we get are judgments and not justice. Because you have a sitting president who is of the APC stock, most of these judges, I want to say this on your TV before you start cautioning. But let me say it and you caution me. Most of these judges are compromised. That is the truth. Even if you go by the judgment of the Supreme Court on the interpretation of 25% of the federal capital territory, even if you go by that judgment, you will lose confidence in our judiciary. There is no, simple English. And the federal capital territory is compulsory. If you go by the judgment on the IREF, the server, you will also be disappointed. They will tell you it is not the law, it was IDE's guideline. So many justices in the past of the Supreme Court, the likes of Okuta and Co. have said, judgments must not be based on technicalities. Because if you blank judgments on technicalities, there will be a miscarriage of justice in most cases. Is that what we get? That is not what we get. So I'm not surprised. I'm not perturbed at all. I'll be surprised if any PDP state will retain its seat. I'll be surprised if that state is in court. I'll be extremely surprised. Because what we get in this country is this bandwagon followership, what I refer to as the imbecilic followership. You follow somebody as an imbecile, notwithstanding whether what the person is doing is right or wrong. We no longer elect people in this country. The Supreme Court will impose people on us. Yes, they claim who put Odima won this last election. What of the first election? He came third, and the Supreme Court gave him additional numbers to win. What kind of a country are we living in? Look at Akpabio. Akpabio won in court when the electoral law is lucid. The act is lucid. You cannot participate simultaneously for two elections in one electoral season. It's Akpabio, not the Senate president. Look at Lawan. What did the former governor of Imo State say? He said, Akpabio, we contested together. How come you're coming back as a senator? What did Bukka Shawa's husband say? He said, most of you would have been here today, but for my wife. What did the DIG say on the floor of the Senate? That was, I think, the 7th Senate or thereabout. When he said, most of you here are not supposed to be here, you're supposed to be in prison because I handled your cases directly, personally. What did Obasanjo say when they called the National Assembly? They said the National Assembly is full of rogues, thieves, and criminals. They asked him to apologize. He said, should I come with the file? The matter was swept under the carpet. What are we talking about? So are they not cleared by the same judiciary? So forget about the judiciary. I'm not interested in that. It only points to one fact. They say they move slowly, but by daybreak it has crossed the sky. When a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with redoubled effort. Every spirit revolts at tyranny. Someday, sometime, somehow, there will be a revolution in this country.
Okay, so riding off what you had said about the Supreme Court imposing people on us or governors on us, the deputy legal advisor of the PDP had said that the judgment is not in tandem with the law. And others have come to say that the APC and the presidency, they're trying to turn Nigeria into a one-party state. Would you agree with that?
What I just explained underscores that fact. And it is irrefragable. It's a truth. Truth is incontrovertible. Malice may distorted. Panic may deride it. But there it is. Whichever way you look at it, whichever interpretation you give to it, the fact remains that that is a dream of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I don't like saying the dream of the federal government, the dream of AP. Look, the box stops at his table. If today the country is doing well, he takes the credit. If the country is not doing well, he should also take the blame. The box stops at his table. And so that is the dream of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to ensure that it becomes a one-party country, one-party state, and only APC, not just APC, mark you. It depends on the flag bearer of that election in APC. If you belong to a different faction in APC, you can be kicked out. So it's not all about just the party. It's all about your loyalty to an individual and not your loyalty to the country, not your loyalty to the party, but your loyalty to an individual. That's why you have the likes of Nation Wike becoming a minister. I was just explaining. It obviates the need for any further explanation. That's how the likes of Wike became a minister. Loyalty to the individual, not loyalty to the party. And the loyalty to the party is by extension loyalty to the country. And that is key. But that has been dismissed completely by our leaders. In those days, when the chairman of a party walks into a place, nobody steps in again. Even the sitting president walks in before the chairman. That was when the party reigned supreme. Today, that is not the case. Everything has been turned upside down. Like I said, the moon moves slowly, but by daybreak, it shall cross the sky.
Yeah, well, the other day we were just discussing with Rume what really is the role of the party in all this. Because when an administration comes and says that we inherited debt, we inherited a bad economy, we inherited XYZ from its own party, you know, it just begs the question: what does the party really do? What role are they playing? What do they stand for? Can't they?
You see, the mistake you made, my dear brother. There is no successor today in this country that will not inherit debts, burdens, pains, sorrows in this country. None. So it is no news. But you came on board giving Nigerians the impression that you have the antidote to those plaguing problems. And so Nigerians are not interested in what you inherited, like what Nuhu Ribadu said. I thought it was APC to APC. We are not interested in what you inherited. We are interested in the panacea, the solution to the problems you inherited. But most times they sing this song, it becomes a mantra because it is like a subterfuge. It is like an excuse to continue or to an excuse to cover up their ineptitude and inability to address the issue. So they put the blame on previous governments and previous leaders. Look at what we call Liberia today. Did they put the blame on past leaders? They did not put the blame on past leaders. If you're a leader and you are what your honors, you know what to do, you forget about yesterday. Yesterday should only serve as a guide. You forget about that and prepare yourself for today and the future. So that when somebody takes over from you, that same mantra will not be said, will not be sung by that same person who's going to take over from you. So why come to tell us what you inherited? Are you not aware of the problems of the country? Are Nigerians not aware that petrol is going for as much as 680 naira per litre? Are Nigerians not aware that most people cannot pay their children's school fees? Are Nigerians not aware that our roads are deplorable, that civil servants are not paid? Are Nigerians not aware of the police brutality in the country? What if, for example, we are talking of police brutality, what we expect the Inspector General of Police to do is to ensure the cessation of brutality in the force? Then you're making sense. And not when the brutality continues, you come to tell me that that was what you inherited. That's Bangladesh. Gibberish. And we're not interested in, we don't want to know what you inherited. We all know what the problem is. Address those problems. But your inability to address those problems, you now hinge it on past administration. Is Buhari still in office? The Buhari you are accusing today direct the economy. Why is Emefiele in prison and Buhari is not locked up in prison? He has no immunity. Because the ball stopped at his table. Emefiele would have done anything without imprimatur. Why is Buhari not locked up in prison like Emefiele? And you come to tell me all kinds of nonsense.
Okay, we'll move over to the next paper. We have Vanguard. And the headline here says, Rumble in Judiciary over nomination of justices. So some senior justices have even come out to talk about the fact that the Supreme Court now is being politicized. What's your take on that?
Sorry, your name again, sorry.
Rume.
Rume.
Yes.
Oh, I do Rume. Beautiful name with beautiful face. Okay. Now, you're asking if judiciary is rotten, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, there's been appointments for the Supreme Court justices.
What we have is desecration of judiciary, an enslavement of the legislative arm, occasioned by executive rascality. We don't have the judiciary we are all proud of. I did not say so alone. The retiring Justice of the Supreme Court, less than a month ago, said so. Who is the better authority? Before you know the justices that are to retire, Why not set a machinery in motion to ensure that before, shortly after their retirement, new ones are going to be appointed? What is this dilatoriness in the appointment of justices? Why will you wait for justices to retire years after, some will die years after before you go ahead? And look at the burden on the judiciary. But the burden fits them anyway because they're actually not doing anything there. They ought to bear the appellation justices, but most of them are unjust. So, fine. And most of them are not really bothered. The appointment of a justice of the Supreme Court is premised on geopolitical zones, no doubt, because of the federal character. You know that Mr. A is from Rivers State and is going to retire in the next 10 years or in the next 2 years. Why not shop for somebody that will replace that Mr. A? Mr. A will retire, and for some political reasons, they will delay the nomination and appointment of a justice to replace Mr. A 5 years after. How do you reconcile this? And you say you live in a country, you talk of the judiciary. And in most cases, we heard what the judge talked about the CJN. The CJN, who was curiously appointed CJN, you heard what he said. The CJN came to Rivers State. And when Wike was a governor, during the commissioning of one of the residential houses for judges, and said everybody should emulate Wike, rain the Kunyans on Wike. These things are unheard of. He later denied something that is on tape. Till tomorrow I can play it. It's on tape. Video. The chief minister came out to deny. A word once spoken is past record. He was carried away. Carried away by the little things you had to give to him to live with. Normally what you do, you come, you commission, you don't even need to dine with the governor for more than 30 minutes, and you're off if you have to come. But then they will always come in because they will definitely further line their pockets. And you talk of a judiciary that overrules itself intentionally based on your purse. Is that a judiciary? Otherwise, how will some of these men be in Senate today? How?
Well,
the same judgment that was given in Bayelsa against APC was upheld recently. How? So we don't have justices. We have unjust people on the bench.
They all can't be that unjust. They could be a
yes,
sprinkling of
yes,
some,
I agree.
so-
All can't be that unjust. But we're looking at the ratio. When they say the judiciary is corrupt, does not mean you don't have sins. You're looking at the ratio. That's when you say something is bad. If, for example, they say Calabari, let me use Calabari because I am Calabari, so nobody will say I'm trying to denigrate anybody. If they say the Calabari people like enjoyment or the Calabari people are wicked, does that mean everybody in Calabari land is wicked? They are talking of the ratio. That doesn't mean everybody is corrupt. We have decent judges and justices. But how many is a question.
Okay, let's move over to another story here. It says, Serap budgets others sue Tinubu. And I know that this is riding off the appointment for the resident electoral commissioners for INEC, because they've put about 4 people from the APC, and now Serap is suing Tinubu for this. What's your take on that?
Well, Serap is just remaining busy. That's one. Number 2, even if the Supreme Court or the courts, let me say Supreme Court because it's the final, gives a judgment and the executive says it's not going to obey the judgment, what will you do? It happened right from the time of Obasanjo. What will you do? Meanwhile, the damage has been caused. It is not just a matter.
you there, sir?
For example, those that were appointed should be penalized for what they did, for accepting the appointment. Those that appointed them, that is the appointees and the appointers, those that appointed them, for example, Mr. President, who has immunity, what are you going to do? That's why the Waste Commission and so on is talking of modus of appointment. A paradigm. Because what are you going to do to Mr. President, who appointed them, who has immunity? What will you do to him? Nothing. Nothing. And if tomorrow some INEC officials are to be appointed, he will do the same thing. He will shout and shout. Nothing. Because he has immunity. But the only cure to that impunity, once Mr. President steps out of office, after 4 years, impeachment that will lead to removal, such person must face the law. If that is done, others will take caution, because they say when the toad in front falls into a pit, others will take caution. But whenever a president does what he wants to do with impunity, it is like a bolster. It will help his successors to do same. That's why I talked of the likes of Buhari. You're blaming MFL. MFL could have done certain things without Buhari's information. What have you done to Buhari?
Okay.
So every president that transgresses the law should be made to face the wrath of the law. You should understand that maximum of 8 years, unless he's going to die there, maximum of 8 years, at the affliction of time, May 29th, 12 midnight, he is going to face the law. He will be careful, even while in office, on what to do.
Okay. Well, right now we're moving to the Tribune, and this headline here is saying, a smaller headline there is saying, by next year, Nigeria should be producing enough fuel for domestic consumption. This is coming even as fuel scarcity looms in the southeast, because there's a headline to that effect that the marketers are trying to withdraw their services, and right now we're hearing that there will be enough fuel to service the domestic consumption. And I don't know how that is going to work. We'd like to get your comments. We still don't have a Dangote refinery producing. We still don't have any national refinery producing, but we've been promised by sometime next year we are going to have sufficient fuel for local consumption.
You know, I have this belief that even before you were born, even before your parents were born, even before your grandparents were born, even before your ancestors were born, had the coming of Christ for over 2,000 years. There is no genuine intention to solve the fuel problem. What is the goal? The solution is so simple. Fix our refineries. The issue of importing fuel was meant to be a stopgap measure when the refineries had issues. How many years now? Fix our refineries so that we save us the cost of exporting, refining, and importing. You know how much that is? If you extract that cost from the sale of petrol, you know how much Nigerians would have saved? And we ought to be exporting petroleum products. We ought to be exporting, not importing, to earn foreign reserves. Are we doing that? No. Because some microscopic few are benefiting tremendously from this devilish act. How much was given to Timothy Civil? You remember the last time they said the Port Harcourt refinery was going to work in December? To Mr. President, so no problem. The no fellow is not loyal to Mr. President. The issue of denomination currency change and so on was because of Tinubu. Tinubu said it. And so this is a punishment he's receiving. Silver was loyal, so no problem. You can steal and go. Lot of the money he has not accounted for. He has not accounted for the money. Now they say, but I got refinery. We are waiting to see. But I bet you, if you think look, you see the fraud in the system. Why commission the Dangote refinery? And you told the whole world that it was going to start in August or thereabout last year. What happened? Now they say 2025. You see the fraud in the system committed by the former president Buhari himself, who gave that assurance and commissioned. When the head is rotten, every other part will be rotten.
Okay, this one.
That is the problem we face in this country.
Yeah.
So it's a fleeting illusion to think that our refinery works unless the cabal, the so-called cabal, every time fuel subsidy, we know the cabal, we are going to do that. You have not named and shamed any member of that cabal. You are paying for subsidy. You pay for turnaround maintenance. You're also a fraud. You're also a thief. You're also a criminal.
Well,
Because
talking
if
about,
you're sure you will be releasing money for turnaround maintenance when nothing is being maintained over there.
yeah, it just reminds me of card maintenance that the banks will tell you.
Yes.
They remove some money and say they are maintaining your card. And my friend was asking me, no, the card with me at the keep.
Levies as well.
Yeah, you are the one who keeps the card. You are the one who cleans it. You are maintaining it,
I'm
and then
protecting it.
yeah, so they collect
The
some
card
money.
that's in my pocket.
Yes,
you are
yes, they are maintaining the card for you. Okay, but talking about refineries, there's always this debate on this next headline: Navy destroys illegal refineries, crude oil in Ondo State. We've heard of the Kpo fire in Rivers State and so many other places. There's been this debate all the time. Should we, at this point of our history, be destroying these what they call illegal refineries, or we should be looking for a way around it to see how these things can be made legal, and they are cottage refineries, if you like, so that we'll have these things being refined here in Nigeria instead of going abroad. So there's been this debate back and forth whether it should be the solution should be destruction of this thing, or we should look for a way to harness the talents that our people have and continue to refine these things. So now, again, Navy destroys illegal refineries. So I don't know what your take will be on that. When I said Kpo, you laughed.
Before you discuss the Nigerian problem, it's always good to take a BP drug. You take a BP drug in the morning, you are a little bit comfortable to discuss Nigerian problem. When you say Navy destroyed, first and foremost, it is wrong. They destroy for twin reasons, and I'll tell you the twin reasons. One, they destroy when no accommodation is reached, no negotiation. The parties involved have refused to accept the offer by the government. Naval officers indicted their fellow naval officers recently. Number two, they destroy when they want to add evidence. In a situation where there is no problem, devoid of problems, you will not hear this story. So don't think that they are destroying as a form of punishment for the illegal bunkers. You'll be deceiving yourself. It's so that the illegal bunkers refuse to give them the money they ask for, and so they have to pay for it, or they want to cover up evidence. But then, you ask yourself a simple question. When you destroy these vessels, have you thought of the boomerang effect? The emission of toxic air into the sky? Nobody's thinking of that. In River State, suits has now become the normal. You walk into a place, before you say, wash your hand, use this, that. Will I be washing my hand as I'm walking? Because you're inhaling this toxic air. It's all over. The air is suffused with it. What of the one I breathe? If I wash my, will I wash inside my nostrils? What of when I open my, as I'm talking to you now, will I be washing my mouth as well? It's simple. And you keep burning and burning and burning. What of the health hazards? Nobody's talking about health hazards. Go and dry your thing outside. In less than 5 minutes, you see soot on it. We are sick and tired. Close all your windows, use all the old ACs. You're wasting your time. It's an effort in futility. You know how this is, they say water must find its level. Air too must find its level. The air might not be enough, but it will definitely find its level. So that's how, that's the country we live in. So when you talk of the Navy burning the vessels and so, they are not doing it in the interest of you, whichever way you look at it. So don't be deceived. They are doing it because the people refuse to pay them well, or they want to cover evidence. Not because of you. Otherwise, why won't the federal government give an instruction? Any vessel arrested must not be burnt, and those behind the vessels prosecuted. We want to hear them prosecuted, but they will not be prosecuted because it's a cartel. Most of these persons have connections in Nassau Rock. There will be a call, this. The ones that don't have connections in Nassau Rock, deal with them. They can also knock off because they're into illegal business. That's what is going on. Not that the Navy is doing it in your own interest. It's not doing it in your own interest. So don't be deceived. Don't think the Navy is right. The Navy is not working. I'm doing anything.
Let's take this story, the only story from Daily Trust that we're going to, the final story. We're taking it from Daily Trust, and it deals with what taxpayers' money is being used for.
I can tell you.
Uproar over Sanwo-Olu's 3.75 billion naira perfume and rechargeable funds. The office of the governor of Lagos State needed to replace the perfumes in his office and the rechargeable funds, and it cost 3.75 billion naira.
That's quite cheap. That's quite cheap.
It's quite cheap because, you know, just a few days ago, we also saw when the Labour Party governorship candidate was asking a question almost like this. They went to court. Opposition parties went to court. And then the sitting governor also went to court, and he was being financed by the state. The state will remove money, pay the lawyers and everything. The Ministry of Justice will be on his side, and then they will be prosecuting a case that is supposed to be a personal case. And he was asking the question, is this what we will be using taxpayers' money for? Now, perfume and rechargeable funds in one office, 3.75 billion naira. I don't know if it's the same naira we use or...
No, that's quite cheap.
It's quite cheap. Oh.
It's quite cheap. Is it not better than, is that one at least you can see, is it not better than the money snakes and the monkeys and so on swallow? Can you account for those ones?
You remind me that.
Yeah. Well, that's quite cheap. So 3.5 billion, I was expecting the perfume to be 1 trillion naira. Maybe the state doesn't have 1 trillion naira.
Interesting.
That's the kind of vanity we live in this country. Perfume. And if you go for the actual cost of that perfume, I can tell you, it's probably just less than 1 million naira. But this is government. The government will steal his own. The supplier will steal his own. And so on. That is what is going on. Perfume for what? Look at the problem bedeviling the country. People are hungry. People are frustrated. Fathers are suddenly becoming disrespected in their homes because they are no longer alive to their responsibilities. Mothers are almost disregarded, unlike before where your mom will call you, come and say that, don't go. The son look at you, if I'm at home, will you give me food? I'm going to my friend's house. His loyalty is slipped. Somebody's talking of a place. What do you expect? They tell you to tighten your belt. Why are they losing theirs? Look at the cars they are buying for National Assembly. Then we have the cars like Innocent and Go here. So Waste is part of affluence to those in office. That's the country we're living in. And unfortunately, they're bequeathing these sordid legacies to the children. Their parents pay for kids to pass. Go out and speak with lawyers, English graduates, and so on, and hear them speak. You will weep. You will weep. Somebody in court the other day was saying, "My Lord, this is Russia." The Don said they have postponed the meeting.
Well, among the learned people, learned friends.
That is the level of decadence in society. And this is because people with distorted perception of life are accidentally discharged into the political service. You can only give what you have. You know, we have kings, whose kingdoms were created for political reasons and made kings by governors. What are you telling the next man? You see legislators sagging their trousers and so on. What are you telling the kids? You see people giving appointments for murdering a political. You see persons in positions of authority appointed by governors and presidents. What is their CV? They killed during the election. They read during the election. And those are the same persons that we sing, we praise in high places when they attend functions.
Okay, it means that...
How do you expect the younger ones to feel?
It means that all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, as it is in Scripture, because we let these things happen. And like one of our guests usually says, the office of the citizen has to sit up for us to move on as a country. But unfortunately...
Yes, that is what we are doing. But don't forget that no matter how high the drum is, the deaf will not hear.
What a wonderful way to end this segment this morning. Thank you so much, Opunabo, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you. We'll be speaking with Mr. Opunabo Ikotaria on the press review. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, when we're back, we'll be having a conversation with an author on self-development. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
Picture this. You're sitting at a table, ready to indulge in a mouth-watering meal. Stop. For many of us, it is hard to resist the temptation, especially when it comes to enjoying a juicy beef dish. But have you ever stopped to think about the impact of your food choices on the greater good? Our food choices have a great impact on others. The beef industry is one of the leading contributors to deforestation. As trees are cleared to make way for cattle ranching, it not only disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems, but also contributes to climate change. We can make a difference with our choices. It does not mean we all have to become vegans overnight. Imagine enjoying fish and poultry a few times a week, indulging in beef just once a month, and filling our plates with plenty of plant-based goodness. Every little bit counts, and even small reductions in our intake can make a huge impact on the climate. By making smarter food choices, we're not only taking care of ourselves, but also the planet we call home. Remember, the choices we make today lead to a better tomorrow.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
When you hear of drug abuse, what comes to your mind?
When we say drug abuse, it seems like something that is so distant
but it's happening every day in our homes.
1 in every 4 persons has mental illness.
Regardless of your notion of what drug abuse is, you are sure to get the right meaning here. Welcome to Regardless, an anti-drug abuse television show put together by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry.
Regardless, the anti-drug abuse show airing on PlusTvAfrica every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Happiness. Happiness. Nobody wants to suffer. I love wealth.
Oh, great. Happiness. Happiness. Yeah, I have my freedom. Happiness. I like happiness.
I choose wealth.
Happiness. No.
Happiness ni. Tí dùnnú bá ti wà, ọrọ̀ ti wà nìyẹn.
Happiness.
I know if you to wait the money, so I will take and establish myself, start business. So now that I go fit do that, so because if I carry the money, say I don't go lavish, I don't go. You just spend the money now. So I no value the person. That is, I no value what you do. You understand? So I no ever value what you do. So if I call him family, I will give the money to a family. But say I don't know everyone in the family, so just they make friends. So you just keep the money for myself. So I just saying that instead of me to damage the money, I'll take and start business. So just keep myself company. So later if I call him family, I feel appreciate the family. That's all.
I will return the money to the family.
It has conditions. Number 1, if to say that my friend there, he be Adenuga family, I don't go return am because I know say papa don't get plenty money. But if the person is from a poor background, I may go to the person's mom or dad that my friend left the so amount with me. That what are you going to do about it? Even though the family go say they are going to you to take some of it, so that is the way we are going to share it. I think that is the best decision.
Money. I'll give it to if I happen to know the family, I'll go and give it to the family. But if I don't know the family, I'll give it to the appropriate authorities, probably the police. 30 million naira is a big money. I cannot keep it for myself because he meant well giving me. I will not keep it. I will return it to the family. In a case that I don't know the family, what I will do is that go to the TV stations or radio stations, and then so person, so place, stay in so place, give me so amount, and now it's no more. I will return definitely I must make sure I return the money.
Eat the money because if I should know his family member or anyone related to him, I'll return the money because I didn't know how he gets the money. I didn't know how, so I can't just eat his sweat just like that because he's there. So I will return the money to his family. So if I didn't know any of his family member, I can take it to station. Maybe if they can contact his family member. That's all. I cannot return any money, yo. Me, I will chop the money. I'll carry some and go to the bank. No, go to the bank. Maybe I'll just carry some and go to the bank. Then spend the remaining one. Maybe start buying other things that I need, like landed properties and the rest of them. Who do I tell? Who do I tell that someone drops money? I should go and give the family member. Mbao, the money is my own.
I will return the money to their family so that at least they can be happy and they will not lose hope. At least they will say, it's hard to trust someone. Nowadays, it's hard to trust someone, and you return the money. At least God will favor me too. So it's not good to take what is not yours.
Spouse. Spouse.
your mother should be your next of kin. But once you are married, you are not a family man. You have a family of your own. You should settle your parents and allow either your kids or your wife to be your next of kin.
Should be my spouse.
As an unmarried person, I would put my mom or my dad.
Is my son, my child.
My spouse. If I have kids, I'll put my children as my next of kin. I see no reason why I should. My parents have enjoyed their life. They've lived their life to the fullest. Yeah, they deserve care. But that does not mean that I should not. It's normal that I'm supposed to take care of my parents. Yeah, because they took care of me while I was young. But at the same time, I feel like my spouse or my children should be my next of kin.
A lot of people who have made it in life will tell you that nobody owes you anything. Not your uncle, not your father, not your wife, not your children, nobody else. You owe yourself a great debt, and you owe yourself the responsibility to do what is right by you. And that comes to what we call personal development. A lot of people complain about the state they are in because their people did not help them. And some of them, like we were saying earlier on, they blame village people for that. But it's not all the time that you blame village people. You need to have personal development. So we're lucky to have in the house today a young and enterprising man who will be talking to us about this personal development, being someone who has experienced this himself. He's a young author and graduate of the University of Ilorin. And the book that he titled is Crossing Limits. He's also a public speaker. Please welcome Mr. James Popola, author, Crossing Limits. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here this morning, and I'm grateful for this privilege, and I am happy to be here once again.
Yeah, they did say that you're a public speaker, so you're making plenty sentences, but they didn't say you were a motivational speaker. So sometimes motivational speaking, a lot of people do not even believe in them anymore. They tell you, I started my business with 3 seeds of granite. Today I'm a millionaire, and all that, and they're always true. Is that true? Anyway, but you have gone the journey, and let's not even talk about the fact that you have written books. Let's just get to hear, how has your journey been that has brought you to this point?
Okay, so my journey started immediately after I finished my secondary school. I attended Angles Memorial High School. And
where is that?
At Shomolu. So it's a place where kind of students, young people majorly, they are known for engaging in different activities that are not really good, and people maybe engage in smoking and all. So I just found myself that this is not the place I want to be, and so I challenged myself to go into UNILAG to attend conferences, summits that were meant for undergraduates, even while I was just a fresh, maybe like secondary school certificate holder.
Okay, but what is it that triggered you? Because there must have been an incident that made you think twice about being where you were and you needed to move.
Okay, so also immediately I finished my secondary school, I had the privilege of attending a program called the CEO Apprentice. So I was reading a newspaper one day and I saw the phrase CEO Apprentice. I'm like, how can the CEO be an apprentice? So it was actually organized by the Business Day Nigeria. And when I attended, I met a guy who told me that he was from Ajegunle. I'm like, are you serious? Because the guy didn't look like it, because the vision of who lives in Ajegunle was different from what I saw in the guy. His name is actually Joshua Erute. And he inspired me. I'm like, so even people in places that are worse than Abule Jesha, where I grew up, are doing a lot of stuff, and they are very, very proud going out to say this is where I'm from. So that's what really inspired me.
Okay. So how were you able to personalize, just try to engage with yourself and saying, I want to develop myself and personal growth? Were there like habits and rituals and stuff that you had to put in place? Because
no money ritual though.
Yes, yes. Because obviously there are people who say, oh, I want to be better, but then you're not putting the work to be better. There are certain things that you have to do, certain steps you have to take to become a better person for you to develop yourself. So what are like those things that you have to put in place for you to become a better person?
Okay, so things I consider that makes me better are the normal daily routine that everyone who aspires to achieve more with less would definitely do. So each time I wake up to give the respect to God, and that's my devotion. And after that, mine is to plan what my day will look like, plan what my week would look like. But most importantly, I learned diligence, I learned excellence, I learned many things from my daddy, my uncles who were entrepreneurs. So I saw these attributes being played out in them. So, and I saw how they were able to like play it big and not small, because nobody identifies anything small. Only great people are being celebrated. People who are shy and want to do small things are not being seen. So I really gain my motivation from what they do, and I see that I can't afford to cheat myself by staying behind and not doing anything. So daily I push myself into taking action. The word take action is very, very dear to my heart, and most times I even like words or brands that tells me take action. So that's why I like the word just do it.
Just do
that's
it.
what motivates me.
Okay, because when you say you like you saw people who did it big and nobody who does it small is being noticed and all that, some people might think that you're talking about, you know, having so much before you can begin. But, you know, it is the little things that you needed to do that we're really interested in, because you said doing big things with less.
Yes.
Something like that, that's what you said. So these little things, for someone who is dragging their feet somewhere, because they feel that they don't have an uncle that can sponsor them, they don't have this and that. First of all, how did you even put yourself through school? Was it yourself, or was it your uncle, or was it your father? How did it happen?
All right, so I would say that I do not mean you have to be a big, you have to start big that way. So why I use that, because most times we believe that we don't have the resources that we need, but the resources that we need at that particular moment is within our reach. We just have to pay attention to our environment. That's one thing that I see, that young people do believe that they want opportunity, not knowing that the opportunity that they need is in the present moment that they are. So I push into ensuring that I utilize the opportunity I have. So about how I was able to go through school, so I enjoyed a lot of freebies. Freebies like, okay, I stayed in Abule Jesha, and maybe the Redeemed Christian Church of God is doing a free training at Ebute Meta for undergraduate and for students. So as at SS2, I leave from Abule Jesha to go down just to attend, even when it was not open to SS2 students. It was majorly for SS3 students. So I had this energy that was being present in people around me in my school. So my school, I had guys who go to school every Saturday. So I saw how people really take attention and how they took action. So that really also helped me. And really, it's also nice to also reach out to people for help. Not being parasitic anyways. It's always good to offer value, because value, we always respond to value. So if people are not willing to give in value, the work and what it needs, they can't get what they are aspiring to.
Okay, I love that. I love the fact that you said value responds to value. So definitely you have to put value in yourself. You need to get everything that you can for you to move to the next step, and that way people see your value and they're like, yes, we can recognize this and we know that this person has done the work. Okay, so what are the work? I know reading is imperative, and you know, I'm sure you know that, okay, it's reading and the things that the trainings you've been to that have actually helped to shape you into the person that you are now.
Yes.
But for someone who's watching, right, and they're thinking, how do I even start? What are the ways you can tell them this is where to go, or this is the channel through which you can now achieve all the things that you want to achieve, that you've set for yourself?
Okay, so for someone who feels like, how do I start from here? So he said the journey to greatness is actually far. However, you can start from where you are. So you need to start from where you are with what you have. So you have access to technology, you have access to many resources. So just go on YouTube. YouTube is a university on its own. However, YouTube content should not only be relied on. So one should also push into finding ways through which you can also acquire specialized knowledge. I always say, go for specialized knowledge. General knowledge is open to everybody. But if you need something deeper, you have to go for specialized knowledge. We have the likes of people who are willing to do training. So attend those trainings if you can afford it. If you can't, you can request for scholarship and you'll be given. Because everybody in this life has gotten an opportunity that changed their life. Because one opportunity can change the course of anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Fantastic.
Why didn't you just add motivational speaker here?
I know, right? Because of all the quotes you're dropping.
This is really what motivational speech should be. But we like it. I'm not saying there should be a comment on that. We like the fact that you're talking like this and the confidence you're exuding. Be present when the opportunities are there. Just be present. It's a very key thing. You were attending seminars when you were not invited. You were crashing parties and everywhere. Just making sure that you learn something. And this is what we don't take seriously. That things that can just pass you by. Say, after all, that's not for me. Some people, I know of a guy who was learning through the window. He didn't have the opportunity to go to school. And then he ended up being the one doing assignments for the people that were in school. And then that's how, at some point, they began to give him some money for the assignments he was doing for them, and then he put himself through school. So things like this happen. Just be present where you are. But before we leave, we're interested also in the fact that young man like you've written a book, and you titled it Crossing Limits. This is one of the things that just captured our attention. Why would you write Crossing Limits? What are the limits that we need to cross? Let's first of all know the inspiration behind this book.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The book Crossing Limits is actually my first book. And
congratulations.
Thank you so much. I launched it in July.
So many of them.
First among several others. Yes.
Fantastic.
So what inspired me to write the book was actually the fact that people don't know how I started my journey. So when they see me on the ground, they see my picture, they believe, oh, this guy is actually a guy with a golden or diamond spoon, if there's anyone like that in his mouth. So, and I believe that it's good to inspire others even while growing to achieve more. That's why I had to say they can achieve more with less. So they believe, the limiting beliefs that hold us back are actually created by our mind. So, and the mindset of every individual is what makes the person stand during trials or challenges. So, and in this book, I talked about how one can overcome procrastination. I talked about how one can maintain a relationship with a mentor, because having a mentor should not be for short time. It should be long-term goal, because the person you are learning under is trying to put you into the situation where he or she has gone through. So I talked about how knowledge is very vital and how we need to go for knowledge. That's a chapter of the book. I also talked about how it is important for one to be grateful for wherever one is. If you are at any stage in your life, you need to be grateful for that stage before you move to another. Because gratitude is a key that unlocks many gates, many doors, and many rooms. And if one is not grateful, one can access those things. Just like the normal Yoruba adage, that if they give somebody one thing and the person is grateful, the person will receive more. And there's a way you give me a present, maybe something, and then I'll come back and I'm thanking you. You'll be like, what have I done that big? But the way you now do it will make one to feel, wow, this is really a lot. So, and a lot of things I wrote in the book. I also shared my experience of the environment that could have limited me but then I was able to see beyond the limits of my environment by ensuring that I cross my limits.
Interesting.
And still crossing
the limits.
I went to church yesterday, and they were talking about the talents, the parable of the talents, where the 5, one was given 5, the other one 2, and the other one 1, and the one that was given 1 went and buried it. I'm sure a lot of us are burying our talents like this, and if we bury it, like they say, it's either you use the brain or the brain leaves you. You can't reason anymore. You can't use it anymore if you leave it idle for a long time. And that's where all our talents lie, in our brain, and the ability to use it is key. We wish that we can have more time to talk with you, but I think the few minutes we've been together,
it's been quite insightful.
Yes, anybody who is watching, especially the young ones who want to make it in life, but they don't want to put in the work, I hope that they will have a different mindset this morning.
Yes.
So we'd like to thank you so much, James, for coming.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, and thanks for the book. I read parts of it last night.
Wow!
Yes, I was up to 1 a.m. reading, and it's quite an interesting read. I saw your Kairos moments. I saw all the other things, and I like the fact that you have like reflective questions at the end of each chapter. So I would continue reading the book, and congratulations.
Thanks so much. It's my pleasure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor and try to cross the limits. And this is where we're going to wrap it up on the show this morning. Until we meet again tomorrow, my name is Nyamguru Agaji.
My name is Brume Paulson. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks.
You are one family. You don't know all this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
I don't have one yet because I'm yet to be rich. So when I'm rich now, I will have one. But like this, I can just go. I do freestyle, go to wherever I like. But for now, I don't have any favorite. Now my own mind, I tell you, I know the life for you. It's not like you're on TV. I'm trying to film. I'm just studying my mind. So I don't have any favorite destination for now.
In Nigeria, there are a couple of places in Abuja, a couple of amusement parks in Abuja. I usually, Wonderland, a couple of nice spots.
Since I stay in Lagos, so my first destination is like Landmark Beach. This is one of the most favorite of mine. And then this landmark destinations, landmark park. I mean, it's pretty good. It's unique, It's well designed, and I think it's quite well known in international for international occasions. And I think many people will know it later on. Yes.
Landmark is cool. I like Landmark. Everybody loves the sun, like beach sun and everything. The surroundings is very well.
And the girls?
No, I don't know about the girls. I'm not a girls guy.
So what do you like, guys?
No, I like girls, but I'm not like. Nah, I don't do everybody that much.
In Lekki Conventional Center. It's chilled now. I like their overhead roof. That's why it's cool.
Obodo Katura.
And why is that?
I've seen pictures and I've heard a lot about it. I think I'll go all through the cable car,
where I like Whispering Palms at Badagry. I like the place. It's serene. They have cool things. I like the place.
So far, I would say the landmark has been pretty good. We just got some cabanas, so my whole family will be here. So it's a nice atmosphere, peaceful, not a lot of crowds. So that's why we like it over here.
I'll say in Nagbo Resorts here.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family. You don't know all this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family. You don't know all this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
Whenever there are misunderstandings with both couples, I think it's not easy to settle it when they are from different cultural backgrounds. You understand? So, for instance, an Efik guy marrying to an Efik girl, At times when there are issues, they can understand themselves. You understand? Then an Igbo guy now going to marry a Yoruba guy. You know, at times this Yoruba lifestyle that we all know is party things. The guy may not be able to flow with what is happening on in their background. You understand? Likewise to the Igbo guy too. So when it goes with an Igbo guy to an Igbo girl, at times the flow is easy because they understand the concept from the background.
You know, mostly the background we come from. Like maybe you are from the Middle Belt, precisely Benue State or so. You wanted to marry from the Igbo. Most of the family will say, we don't want you to marry from Igbo. Maybe they might not understand your language and you will not understand them. Many will say their marriage, whatever, is high and all those things. It affects a lot. And if you said, okay, to the Yoruba people, they will say, no, culture, this and that will have a higher culture system than their own. When you get married to them, they might be going out different from your own and all those things. So that affects a lot.
Yes, I think it affects mainly, like you said, for the like Idomans or maybe those thieves in Benue State. If you should marry a thief person, they believe the girl or the woman goes out to shit on your wife or something. And for the Igbos, when you go, if you should marry there, then they feel maybe during if they want to give them any chieftain title, they will say, okay, no, they will not because she's not from their own side. So I think it's affected, but if you should look at it in a normal reason.
Well, personally, I don't think, but I believe that it's individualistic, as in everybody have different individual differences. So some people might not see it as something, but other people might see it as something. But personally, I think it doesn't really matter.
What really matters is love. So as long as the love exists between the two people we are talking about. So cultural background doesn't have say. So it's love that supersedes.
I don't think cultural background should affect people's relationship. Because in the 21st century, people should be able to love according to your feelings. Being a Yoruba and Igbo does not mean anything. All you needed in a relationship is just the understanding. Once you can be able to study the person very well, and her character aligns with yours, it can start like a dating from dating to courtship, from courtship, then to a serious relationship. And then once you can be able to, you find out that everything can work well for you, then you can go ahead into the relationship. So this idea of this, I think in this modern time, we should not be talking about cultural background affecting our relationship with people.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body is just dripping diamond.
Good morning. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This is the news brief. The appeal court in Abuja has sacked the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang. In a ruling on Sunday, the lead justice, Elfrida Williams Dawodu, ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to issue a certificate of return to the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Nentawe Gashwe. Justice Williams Dawodu set aside the judgment of the tribunal, which affirmed the election of Governor Mutfwang, describing it as highly incompetent. According to the court, the decision of the tribunal to dismiss the petition filed by the APC and its candidate on the ground that the duo had no business meddling in the affairs of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, on which platform Mutfwang was elected, is in breach of Section 177 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Section 134C of the Electoral Act. The court also held that, contrary to the decision of the tribunal, that the issues contained in the petition filed by the appellants were pre-election matters, They were both pre-election and post-election matters and could not have been deemed status barred. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, will swear in 58 new senior advocates of Nigeria on Monday, November 27, 2023, as part of the programs lined up for the to formally herald the 2023-2024 legal year of the court. No fewer than 114 applications were received by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, LPPC, for the award of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2023. The number was pruned down to 69 after a series of screening, which included the advocates' first and second filtration stages, academic pre-qualification, academic second filtration exercises, the independent appeals hearing, and chambers inspection exercises, among others. However, the LPPC conferred the title on 58 successful candidates, out of which 57 are advocates, while one is an academic. The Nigerian Bar Association section on Public Interest and Development Law, NBA SPIDL, has described as an abuse of office and a breach of constitutional powers the refusal of Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki to swear in judges recommended by the National Judicial Council, NJC, for appointment in the state. In a statement by its chairman, John Aikpokpo Martins, and its secretary, Fumi Adeogun, SPIDL demanded the immediate confirmation of the appointments of the 8 judicial officers which had been made since June 2023. Citing the provisions of Section 271, subsection 2 of the Constitution, SPIDL said that Obaseki's failure to swear in the judges has occasioned an impairment to the justice delivery system in the state. It explained that there is currently a paucity of judges to attend to the increasing number of cases, thereby overburdening the existing jurists in the state with great workload.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
The Chief Magistrate in Wuse Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja, Abubakar Saidu Umar, has directed the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to investigate a criminal conspiracy and threat to life allegedly perpetrated by Justice Danladi Umar against renowned human rights lawyer Femi Falana, SAN. Justice Danladi Umar is the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, or Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT. The court order was sequel to a petition by Falana to the Inspector General of Police alleging threat to his life by Justice Danladi. In the court document addressed to Egbetokun, Justice Saidu Umar, through the court registrar, specifically gave the IGP 14 clear days to complete the investigation and report back to the court on or before August 24, 2023. Femi Falana had, in a petition to the then Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, dated February 27, 2018, requested for police investigation of threat to his life by Honorable Justice Umar Danladi, the then chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered police formations and commands to extract letter of retirement from police officers who are due for retirement but have refused to retire. The police signal from the IGP office on Saturday said it is a disturbing trend that policemen who have attained 60 years of age or 35 years in service refuse to quit. It said this is contrary to the provisions of the Public Service Rule, which provides that the mandatory retirement age for all grades in the service shall be 60 years or 35 years of pensionable service. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Berlin, the German capital, to attend the G20 Compact with African Conference scheduled for Monday. During the conference, President Tinubu will join other heads of state and government of CWA member countries, bilateral partners, as well as heads of international organizations to deliberate on the immediate enhancement of economic and business cooperation with a view to outlining concrete measures to boost investments in critical areas such as energy, trade, infrastructure, and new technologies, among others. The G20 CWA conference will be taking place simultaneously with the 4th G20 Investment Summit, co-hosted by the German government and German business associations. Operatives of the Bayelsa Police Command have arrested a man in connection with the murder of the late Bako Agbeshim, who until his death was the divisional police officer of Ahoda Division. The police spokesman in Bayelsa State, Butsuat Asinim, said the suspect, 43-year-old Onyekachi Ikowa, believed to be the second in command in the dreaded Icelanders cult leader Tubaba, was arrested on Saturday, 18th November 2023, at his hideout in Yenagoa. It was gathered that Onyekachi had initially fled to Shagamu in Ogun State, but returned to Yenagoa, where he was laying low. The Commissioner of Police Bayelsa State Command, CP Francis Idu, has charged police operatives to fish out any of his cohorts who are hiding in Bayelsa State, stressing that the Bayelsa Command, under his watch, would not be a haven for criminals to hide. Meanwhile, the suspect has been handed over to the Rivers State Police Command for further investigation. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering, AML, in West Africa, aiming to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, and arms proliferation. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi emphasized this during the inauguration of the 40th Giaba Technical Commission and plenary meeting in Abuja. Fagbemi, also the chairman of the Giaba Ministerial Committee, highlighted Nigeria's improved technical compliance, contributing to the completion of the International Country Risk Guide (ICRG) action plan. He stated, Nigeria will persist in providing necessary support to ensure the program's remaining aspects are completed, making Giaba a model of effective delivery in the next round of evaluations.
It is incumbent on member states to provide all support that is necessary for Giaba to conduct its work in a more effective and efficient manner. As a capable and technically confident organization, Giaba can and should put before the rest of the globe AML CFT network, the aspirations and peculiarities of our region.
The chairman of the Taraba State Independent Electoral Commission, Dr. Philip Due, has declared the candidates of the People's Democratic Party in all the 16 local government councils of the state as winners of the November 18 local government election in the state. Declaring the result at the Commission's headquarters in Jalingo, Due said the result for the councillorship election was declared at the ward level in line with electoral guidelines. According to the result, as declared by the Commission, the PDP won in all the local governments by a wide margin and only trailed behind by APC in Donga local government. Reacting to the result of the election, Governor Abu Kefas said the result of the election was a clear indication of the dominance of the PDP in the state. The November 11 governorship election in Imo State has been met with mixed reactions. The All Progressives Congress APC Southeast claims the election is free, fair, and credible, while observer groups argue it is marred with irregularities. APC Southeast Chairman Ijoma Arodiobu praised the Independent National Electoral Commission for conducting a peaceful election and appealed to the contestants to accept the poll's verdict in good faith.
At my own view, if the purpose of their going to strike was as a result of the humiliation done to the national president of NLC, Honorable Ajiero, if that was why they went on strike, I support them 100% because it is very, very unfortunate that the man will be so humiliated and be treated like a common criminal in his own state. But in Imo State today, it is strike on. Well, I don't know whether they stop.
There is nothing like, we heard about strike, but there are still a movement in Imo State here. Some offices are still open. At the same time, but this, if you ask me, I will say that this is not a good time for Nigeria to go into strike because people are passing through difficulties. So it's not a better time for people to go on strike. You don't tell somebody who is hungry to go on strike. So I believe right now, anybody who likes to go on strike, I believe there is individual differences. For me, I'm not on strike. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
I don't like it. I feel like what happened to the man, yes, it's something the government has to, fix, but to say strike for everybody, when people are trying to defend themselves as everything is hard, it's not really necessary. They should take it on the government. But I know that the government will only listen when everybody puts them together.
Looking at my own view,
Excellence is not a standard but a journey. It is a continuous process of striving for improvement, pushing boundaries and setting new benchmarks. These were the submissions of the chairman, CMS Grammar School Merit Award 2023, Senator Akin Odunsi, in his opening remarks at the event, which held at the school premises in Bariga, Lagos. Plus TV News correspondent Love Ikuku Oyedekun tells us more in this report.
Grammarians from within and outside Nigeria are well represented here. The Venerable Adelaja Hall was filled to capacity with the old grammarians accompanied by their families, friends and loved ones as they relished the moment. And quickly, they settled down to the day's business. First was a citation of the chairman of the day, Senator Akin Odunsi. Senator Odunsi commended the commitment of members to excellence, which he said has remained the driving force behind the growth of the school.
As we come together to recognize and celebrate excellence, we acknowledge the toil and remarkable achievements of individuals, sects, chapters, and branches who have demonstrated exceptional performance, ingenuity, and a tireless commitment to preserving the great legacy of our alma mater.
This was followed by an opening remarks by the President, Old Grammarian Society, OGS, Cyril Ogbekene. The President said the concept of the Merit Award was ingrained in the reward system culture of the CMS Grammar School as an institution.
In hindsight, most, if not all, grammarians present here would agree that the concept of the Merit Award we run today is ingrained in the reward system culture of the CMS Grammar School as an institution. And the group can say the fact that the ever-invigorating lyrics of the world's best school song resonates in the enduring culture of our community.
Now, the awards proper. The Outstanding Grammarian Award went to late Venerable Dr. Yinka Omololu. In the Individual Merit Awards category, Adesonya Laide, Madreke Chike, Iyonda Olujide were among those honored.
On behalf of the operators of CMS Grammar School, Bariga, Lagos, we present this award to our distinguished grammarian, Professor Adedele K, who was born from 1978-87. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Alhaji Nano. This honor is well deserved and is long overdue. Congratulations on behalf of the whole Grammarian Society.
Some of the awardees spoke with Plus TV News. With so much nostalgia, the relieved how CMS Grammar School helped in preparing them for the future.
Awards like these are very significant because it encourages others to follow suit and to let you know that you are not a fool giving to others. So it kind of energizes you, it gives you more energy to do even more, So, and I pray by the grace of God, we have not started, we have only just begun.
With an air of fulfillment, the president of Old Grammarians, Cyril Ogbekene, spoke on the significance of the awards.
What we are celebrating today is excellence, is consistency, is focus and determination to be the very best that you can be. And that is what we are celebrating. We celebrate it for those who have left school. We celebrate it to inspire those who are still in school. There are people from the UK, Europe. There are recipients from OGS America, and in point of fact, OGS America has got a class or this branch set award. So that's as global as it is.
The first documented Old Grammarians Merit Award was held in 2001. Love Ikuku Uyedoku, Plus TV News.
And from other parts of Africa, the UN mission in Mali has announced that it had left its camp 80 kilometers off the city of Gao in the north as part of its complete withdrawal from the jihadism-plagued West African country. This closure is the 9th among the 12 camps they have in the country. The camp was handed over to the Malian authorities, represented by the prefect of Ansongo, by the head of the MINUSMA office in Gao, the largest city in northern Mali. The colonels who came to power in 2020 demanded in June, after months of deteriorating relations, the departure of the MINUSMA, deployed since 2013 in this country to help in the fight against jihadism and the deep multidimensional crisis. Outside Africa, Hamas gunmen have battled Israeli forces trying to push into Gaza's largest refugee camp, and at least 11 people were killed by an Israeli airstrike on a house, medics said, as hopes rose of a deal to free some hostages from the enclave. The Washington Post said the U.S. mediators were close to a deal between Israel and Hamas to free dozens of women and children held hostage in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day pause in their war. The Post had reported that a tentative deal had been reached, but this was denied by Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. officials, with a White House spokesperson saying efforts were continuing to clinch a deal. On Sunday, however, Israel's ambassador to the United States, Michael Herzog, said in an interview that Israel was hopeful a significant number of hostages could be released by Hamas in the coming days. Russian drones have hit infrastructure facilities in Ukraine in an overnight assault that caused power outages in more than 400 towns and villages in the south, southeast, and north of the country. President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated the Air Force for shooting down what it said were 29 out of 38 Iranian-made Shahed drones in several Ukrainian regions between 8 p.m. on Friday and 4 a.m. on Saturday. Last winter, Russia pounded Ukraine with hundreds of missiles and drones, leaving millions without electricity, heating, and water during the coldest months. The Energy Ministry said there was enough electricity in the system to meet the country's needs, but that the drone strikes deprived 1,550 consumers of power because of damage to the grid. In entertainment news, Maven Records artist Charles Chibueze, also known as Crayon, is grateful he didn't have a successful career when he was first signed in 2019 by Don Jazzy. While comparing his career journey to that of Job in the Bible, Crayon stated that God was probably testing him like Job. The singer, in a post on his official X, explained that having a successful music career now is more satisfying than it would have been then. Crayon also revealed that he was addicted to illicit substances for years. He said he gave up the addiction after Maven Records producer and CEO of Blowtime imprint, Baby Fresh, who discovered his talent, advised him to stop. And finally, sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria failed to close the gap on group leaders South Africa after playing another 1-1 draw against the Warriors of Zimbabwe at the Hore Stadium in Baturi, Rwanda on Sunday afternoon. However, it was Baltimore Bito's men that shockingly went ahead after almost half an hour of play when Walter Mosuna unleashed a ferocious free kick display from the Warriors, while the Eagles looked helpless again in search of an equalizer. It did, however, come from Kelechi Iheanacho in the 67th minute after a nice over-the-top pass from Joe Aribo to Moses Simon, who laid it for the Leicester forward to guide home and earning the team another point. Despite the draw, the Nigerians remain second in Group C of the World Cup qualifying series, a point behind South Africa, while Zimbabwe stay in third. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and GloTV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Many thanks for being there.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
As far as I'm concerned, I guess it's the lady. The ladies, the sacrifice man. Because, okay, let's assume now, this morning, I have to be in the office by 8:30. So she have woken up before 4 a.m. I'm still sleeping by then. So she sacrificed the time to make dishes for me while coming to the office, you know. And some other things like that I cannot do easily if she's not there. So
well, the relationship is virtually about sacrifice. So, and both parties should be willing to make sacrifices. So there is no law that says the man must sacrifice for the woman or the woman for
sacrifices for each other. And it is sacrifice that can even make both couples to be in relationship. Because without sacrifice, sometimes one can just say he wants to back out. But both parties, they make sacrifice. And I cannot say one make more sacrifice than the other. So it all depends on the area where the sacrifices are being made.
And the reason why I conclude my own that is the man is that the man is the one that be the NG body, that is financially, spiritually, and in all aspects of life. He has to provide everything that is necessary to sustain the relationship.
It's a woman that make real sacrifice of marriage. She will be praying that God should sustain our husband, our home, and our children. So men will be looking for the money to please the wife and to pay for the school children. But women will be praying that God should give them life. There will be no death. Men are not, they don't believe on death. But women fear death too much. That's why we are always, if you see the congregation of the church, in the churches now, women are the ones that are much, because they are praying for God's sustaining of their marriages and their homes, on their children, and on their husbands. so that God should sustain them and bless their lives. So men are just looking for money. They don't pray. They don't believe that prayer is the one that sustains life, providing for house. But they depend on their labors. So that is why women are more so sacrifices on relationship.
That's a very very corny one, because if I say a guy does, the ladies will be like no. If I say a lady, the guys will be like, but you're a guy. But I would say both of them do sacrifice. But if you're to ask me who sacrificed the more, I would say it is the lady, because in most case you see her doing more. Let me just, by doing, I believe you understand, doing more. Because ladies are more of a multitasker. They know how to multitask. But guys, we're more like the passive ones. So I guess the lady do sacrifice more in a relationship. Thank you.
The most important and the biggest sacrifice ever is time. Then your, if you are able to give your time to your partner, you've given the best. Then after time, of course, love and affection follows. But time is actually the most important thing. Then I can give my money, my material things. You understand what I'm saying by material things. So I can share anything with my partner as far as she's worth it.
I will not say man or woman makes sacrifices, so it depends. As occasion demands it, the man can make sacrifice. There will also be time for the woman to make sacrifice. And evil amongst if you check within her assemblies, she will make sacrifices for some of her assemblies, some of her female friends. She will equally make sacrifices. Some will make sacrifices for her too. So life is about making sacrifices. God already makes sacrifice for all of us.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no dream of this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
Now, technical and vocational education and training systems in many low and middle income countries do not match skills and labor market needs and are unprepared to meet the large rise in demand for TVET in the coming years. But that's according to a new joint study by the World Bank, the International Labour Organization, and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Also, in line with UNESCO's Sustainable Development Goals 1 and 10, which are to eradicate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030, inclusive technical, vocational education and training TVET has been observed as one of the ways to achieve participation and inclusion of most Nigerians in legal and meaningful profit-oriented activities to earn their living, eradicate poverty and combat insecurity. On the show today, we'll focus on the determinants of the labor market situation of young people in Nigeria, with a particular emphasis on rethinking the role of technical education, vocational training, and education policies. Welcome to Business Insight and Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonia. First off, empowering Nigerians for the demand of workplace and self-reliance will reduce the unemployment rate, especially among the youth. Now, this was the position of a group, the Eagle Foundation, at its one-day Work Skills, Employability and Entrepreneurship Program. Details in this report.
The nation's higher educational institutions equip graduates with hard skills while neglecting the development of employability skills, which are core for transitioning into the labor market as well as for workplace productivity. The lack of these skills in graduates keeps them in the pool of the unemployed, no matter their degree of certification. Now, Executive Director, Eagle Foundation, Toluwaṣe Olaniyan, says this project aims to equip participants with the right skill set for employment and also prepare them for the world of entrepreneurship.
A good number of young people are currently not unemployed, they're able. And this is because they lack the basic skills like critical thinking, problem solving, those skills that can help them perform in the labor market. So employers are not getting what they want from them. Unfortunately, they're able to employ them. And after the flag off of this project, we're setting up mentoring and coaching centers across different institutions where students are able to speak to coaches and are able to have continuous career development sessions so that it doesn't just end here.
One of the unique aspects of this training is to provide access to jobs for selected participants and also expose them to the realities of the workplace.
Employability is an important part of our economic growth because when the people of the nation or the society are employed, productivity is increased as a country, and the GDP of the country also thrives on productivity.
A way forward is for people to actually consider a lot of capacity building trainings. The four walls of an academic institution is not going to provide all the kind of knowledge and skills you need. You have to self-develop, self-train yourself through taking part in trainings, capacity building, and the likes.
There are several causes of graduate unemployment in Nigeria, including an inelastic labor market to absorb the turnover. Some of the participants share their thoughts.
Still by skill acquisition, because most of the most companies now, I don't know how to put that in English, they don't really want to employ more because technology is already taking over lots of jobs now.
With the help of writing a good CV, because majority of us, I think the reason why we are not seeing good jobs is because of not you can't write good CVs. So with this program now, so they are teaching us how to write good CVs on how to get good jobs.
Another way to address the challenge of employability, skill-induced employment is to incorporate the learning of these skills in the curriculum of higher education.
Welcome back from that feature on unemployment. In the context of rapidly changing labor market and evolving skills needs due to globalization, technological progress, demographic transformation, and climate change, the need for well-performing TVET is even greater to ensure smooth job transitions. This is especially critical as global youth unemployment stands at 16% in 2022, much higher than the overall unemployment rate. These averages mask large disparities across countries, particularly in low and middle income countries. My guest, Toluwaṣe Olaniyan, is a notable executive coach, business strategist, and an experienced human capital professional. His over 15 years experience in human capital development spans across learning and development, talent acceleration, talent management, and placement. Over the years, he has built a strong capacity in process, project, and people management, and has an impressive track record of working with leading brands across multiple countries, including the United States, Canada, the UK, and Africa. He joins me now as we rethink TVET in Nigeria as a lasting solution to unemployment. Many thanks for joining me, Tolu.
Thank you so much for having me here, Justin.
Well, it is my pleasure. Let's start this way. Just yesterday, you and I were just having a pre-chat concerning this thing, and it's as though the present administration has its eyes on TVET as a way of maybe improving the unemployment situation in the country. It used to be like a thing in the past that did we lose track somehow in any way?
Oh yeah, so thanks, Justin. I think that we actually lost track at some point, right? So TVET, vocational education used to be like a big deal. So which was some of the things that gave birth to organizations like NAPTEB, where you could easily, instead of going to a secondary school, you could go to a a vocational and a technical school and could graduate being like, someone who is skilled in a technical skill, and you can then get into the labor market as such. But I think that we then lost, which also strengthened like polytechnics and all, right? But then I think somewhere along the line we lost it. Maybe also for higher preference placed on university education, we then make a lot more people clamor to gain university degrees, which has probably now put the university degree a bit above other technical institutions. So I think we probably lost it at that point, which is also very sad and worrisome.
Okay, but right now you will agree with me that we're witnessing unprecedented inequalities within countries, especially when we talk about women, men, and of course youth unemployment. But in your opinion, do you really think TVET is like a panacea to these issues of uprising unemployment, specifically amongst the youth?
Well, yes. I absolutely would say yes, right? So TVET is the pathway now, right? Is a strategic pathway into the fast rising rate of unemployment, right? So think about it this way: we have a whole lot of people who probably had studied a particular course in university and are looking to practice or to earn a living based on what they have studied, right? But then you could flip it. We have shortage of well-experienced plumbers. We have shortage of carpenters who can do these things, and we can even export the skills, right? But then we have a lot of people who just want to go the other route of looking for a white-collar job. And like I say every time, the color of the job is gradually changing. It's fast changing, right? And we then need to be able to then help build the technical vocational space so that it can accommodate a whole lot of people, right? Also build structures and systems in place to support artisans and their businesses, right? So it's very tough for you to see a tailoring outlet that has more than 2 branches, even in a state. So have you seen a mechanic workshop that has an outlet in Lagos and has in Ibadan and has in Shagamu or has almost everywhere, right? So it means that because of the less attention paid to skilled labor, they are not getting as much support, is reducing their capacity to be able to absorb as much people, right? But then if you then put a lot of energy on building the TVET space, so it will be a full value chain where we'll also be supporting like the SMEs who will be absorbing these people and once they are done. So you can see a mechanic workshop that's absorbing about 3-4 graduates, and they are all working. They're all working well. So this person has like branches in 4 other states. It means this mechanic business, who is hiring just 2 people now, has the potential of hiring 22 people if strengthened and if adequate attention is placed on this skill.
Okay, let's talk what more can be done to encourage TVET. You talked about, in passing, there's a preference for university education as opposed to the monotechnics and the polytechnics. We also have the NBTE,
yes.
I was in NAPTEL.
NAPTEL, yeah.
Okay, and all of that. But in your opinion, do you really think it is well positioned to, handle all of the issues concerning human capital development, vocational and technical education? Because back in the day, even as at the secondary level, we even have vocational training in schools.
Yes. Oh, okay. So what I said, right? I've said this at different fora, is we need a stronger legislation, right, that perfectly would equate and standardize all of the degrees across board, right? So a university graduate is not earning more than a polytechnic graduate, right? So it makes it a clear alternative for these people. There are some courses and there's some courses that people who are graduated from a technical school, a technical secondary school, can probably not apply to in the university, also for like basic disparity. But we need is a stronger legislation to equate and standardize all of this, right? And also we need like a higher level of standardization, right? Around the NSQ that we're currently having, which is like National Skills Framework. that says, oh, if you're done with an OND, right, you're probably at this skill level, and you can be hired by a company on this level. Now, OND graduates are largely just hired as IT people. Oh, just come after they're done with IT. There's no strong standardization to say, oh, this is where you are. So you see a lot of them, instead of owning the skill and working on the role that they've been hired to, they are instead seeing themselves as not sufficient, or until I go get an HND before I'm able to. Meanwhile, they could actually stay on the job for another 6 months. Not for another, sorry, maybe like 3 years.
Yes.
Do a recertification exam, and they can then say, oh, they've matched the standard of people who now have an HND, because they now have OND plus 3 years work experience, right? So now the challenge that we've been having over time is someone with OND and with 3 years work experience is still seen as just an OND holder.
After all the experience that he
after the 3 years experience, right? And the person with straight OND and then went for HND is seen as a higher degree holder.
No experience per se.
With no experience per se. So standardization is now a challenge that we're battling with. But if we can work around all of this, so the person takes a recertification exam, or certification exam, recertification exam, and it is a continuous certification process that helps us through the experience path, right? It will then help a lot of people move from the unemployed space into, because a lot of people are currently unemployed now because they feel OND is not enough. They don't have the finance to go for HND, so they're just at home, and they account for the high number of unemployed people that we have in the country.
Okay, let's talk about these trainings per se, because we know that TVET has a very high potential. Over time, all we see is that we have pockets of companies or groups doing vocational trainings for people just to give them work skills and all of that. But sometimes what we find out is that some of these technical colleges that we have, they tend to teach what they think the people need as opposed to the reality of what they actually need. So how do we go around all of that?
Oh, okay. So like I always advocated again, we need to do a proper synergy of the town and gown, right? So the gown, which is like the institution, the academic space, I think that the curriculum, like I've always said, is a bit outdated. So there needs to be a proper synergy between the institutions and the workplace, facing reality, understanding that, hey, this is the current market trend, this is the current market expectation. I was on a panel last week. I know what the panelists were saying. It said there is only one institution that has an almost updated fashion or textile design department or course. Almost updated. And that almost updated is about maybe like 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Right. And there is an ongoing trend. So I most likely would not hire a stylist who has just graduated from that university into my fashion company, because I feel that this person is out of touch, right? Oh, but then I would hire this person. This person had maybe gone to a school, but I had then gone to a well-known fashion house to get trained. So it means that we need to bridge the gap and put the institution and the workplace together, understanding what are the needs in the labor market, what are like the requirements, how can we bring town and gown together. So all of the polytechnics, all of the molytechnics, all of the institutions have professionals, not academics, right? Professionals take specific courses that can help these people build better skills, right? So my brand had just trained about 100 people in traditional textile design, right? I mean, we've done this with a professional. We did not bother to ask, what school did you graduate from? Participants and beneficiaries of this program, which was free, now earn a minimum of 70 to 100,000 every month, right? This is irrespective of what your academic background
so emphasis should not really be on the paper qualification per se.
Yes, right. Yes. So this is, I mean, not boardroom, because we take you through the full course of traditional textile design, how to make adire, how to make batik, how to do like all of those things, and we walk you through through the full length of business exposure, marketing, like digital marketing. So we want to be sure that you can run a full business, right? And then we provide support to you and your employees on a going concern. These are the things, and that's why institutions abroad have research grants that allows them to do research, and people from industries can come tap into these researchers. I think that our institutions also need to open up their doors to a lot more professionals come in to provide support.
I was going to say that because you in your own light can only just do so much as an Eagle Foundation and pockets of others that we have. But then how do we, what can be done to tackle the factors that affect performance of TVET, specifically access, quality, equity, and relevance?
So I'll start with the last one, relevance. I can also ask, how many people would agree for their children after the secondary school to say that, I think I want you to go learn automobile.
I would.
To go learn automobile repair, right? So even from the home, right, a lot of people have not come to accept, not come to agree to TVET. So we need to first increase awareness for the acceptance of this, which is like advocacy, and ensure that we make it as relevant as possible. People come to take it, right? And then second is, while we're increasing relevance, we're then also increasing acceptance, right? To say that people can then take this in, begin to accept it, and then those are like the foundation. That's like what we need. That's like the foundation. Once that is out of the way, people see it as a normal thing. So you don't look down on a mechanic or that is a mechanic. A lot of mechanics mechanics are very rich people, right? I'm sure they earn maybe more than some of us who work. Inside
9 to 5. I know.
9 to 5, right? So I think when we first increase advocacy, work around acceptance, people accepting it, ensure that it is as relevant as possible. So it then gives birth to, or gives lead to, all of the other conversations around how to
equity to ensure that it actually fair to both sexes as it is.
So and I think that so the conversation is getting bigger. There are lady mechanics everywhere now who also on board just women to train them in these different skills, right? And I can say most times women have a higher capacity to learn most of those skills and learn well. I think the challenge sometimes is access for them, right? How are they able to access this? What kind of design, what kind of structures have been designed to help them, right? To be able to, because we know that, they are also at home, they need to do a few things on the home front to support their families. Are we able to build like structures that allows this? So for most of our trainings, we end at a particular time, because we know that these women would say, I want to go get my kids. We're in Africa. The women provide heavy support to the home system. So we sort of make room for that to allow them also be able to function well at home.
Right.
Yes. So I think that the conversation is getting bigger for women, and women are beginning to embrace like most of the skills a whole lot more.
All right, my people are actually asking me to rush out of the studio, but I want to say a very big thank you to you, Tolu Asholaniyo. Tolu Asholaniyo is the founder of Eagle Foundation, and his organization helps with employability skills and, of course, workplace skills, so that Nigerian youths, women, and, of course, everyone inclusive can actually have the skills to be honed, so they can even be their own bosses over time. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much, Justin.
All right, as we wrap up, stakeholders have called for effective regulation in the e-commerce space to ensure profitability and sustenance of active players. This formed the major thrust of this course at the unveiling of an e-commerce platform, Okari Market Hub, in Lagos. I'll leave you with details of that report. I am Justin Akadonia. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
Coexisting together with commerce. Everybody's comfortable.
The Nigeria e-commerce market size is expected to grow from $7.63 billion in 2023 to $13.34 billion by 2028 at a compound annual growth rate of 11.82% during the forecast period. Over the years, the market has experienced significant growth driven by increasing internet penetration, growing smartphone usage, and a rising middle class with disposable income. As the industry continues to blossom, there is an increasing need to make available online stores to cater to the demand of its ever-growing market. Despite the expansion and growth of e-commerce transactions in Nigeria, the sector suffers the challenges of comprehensive regulation.
It's been tough, but quite essential. Back when we started, getting dispatch to give you a steady rate to use so that you could pass on was new to them. They wanted us to order per transaction. Today, it's commonplace. I think the regulators are catching up, right? And this is what happens in most innovative sector areas.
If you regulate an industry, you stifle the industry. So I think regulators should allow businesses to run effectively. What will stand them out is customers' feedback.
While new entrants make their way into the e-commerce space regularly, stakeholders believe that a focus on bulk marketing is key. Security of transacting online remains a huge concern, just as the authenticity of products purchased poses a cause of distrust for consumers. What is the way out?
We want to do it differently. We want to satisfy bulk customers. We don't want to go on retail, bulk breaking, so to say. We want to sell in bulk, so that we'll be able to pass on the price advantage to our clients, to our customers. So if you look at the e-commerce space in Nigeria, there are no prominent bulk sellers.
I think the only problem that we have in Nigeria is just the issue of trust, where you buy certain things and then it's a case of things I order versus what I got. And then you buy certain things. And then another thing that is also a major problem here is the return policy that we also don't have in Nigeria.
In e-commerce, what we are talking about is actually what we call the trade tech. Just like we have the agri-tech, we have the fintech, and all those techs. So the trade tech is gaining its ground in the form of e-commerce here. And one of the things you all see that we've been able to do around this environment is that we've been able to put a lot of security around the platforms where you do trading.
With a focus on bulk purchasing, effective regulation, and when the inherent challenges have been nipped in the bud, perhaps there may be a silver lining with the entrance of Okiari Market Hub.
Nigeria has produced and continues to produce great writers who have won great accolades and recognition for their work. When discussing African literature, names like Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and Buchi Emecheta. But beyond these writers, exist modern writers redefining the fate of literature in Nigeria, Africa, and globally. 1. Chimamanda Adichie. The recipient of a MacArthur Foundation Fellowship was born on the 15th of September 1977 in Enugu, Nigeria. As a teenager, Chimamanda left for the United States and gained a scholarship to study communication at the Drexel University in Philadelphia, then pursued a degree in communication and political science at Eastern Connecticut State University. Her works have been translated into over 30 languages and has appeared in various publications, including The New Yorker, the O. Henry Price Stories, and the Financial Times. Some of her books, like The Purple Hibiscus, Half of a Yellowstone, and Americana, have won various awards. Her 2012 talk, We Should All Be Feminists, started a worldwide conversation about feminism and was published as a book in 2014. Tomi Adeyemi. Tomi, the author of Children of Blood and Bone, was born on August 1st, 1993, in the United States to parents who emigrated from Nigeria. After graduating Harvard University with an honors degree in English literature, she received a fellowship to study West African mythology, religion, and culture in Salvador, Brazil. Her debut novel, Children of Blood and Bone, has spent over 2 years on the New York Times bestseller list, and its film adaptation is currently in active development with Disney's Fox and Lucasfilms. She was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people. She is a Hugo and Nebula award-winning Nigerian-American writer and storyteller based in Los Angeles, California. In 2020, she was named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 in media, and her website has been named one of the best websites for writers by Writers Digest. Teju Cole. Teju Cole is a novelist, photographer, and curator. He was born in 1975 in the U.S. He is currently the Gore Vidal Professor of the Practice of Creative Writing at Harvard University. His novella, Every Day is for the Thief, was named a Book of the Year by the New York Times, The Globe and Mail, NPR, and The Telegraph, and shortlisted for the PEN Open Book Award. Another one of his books, Open City, also featured on numerous Book of the Year lists and won the PEN Hemingway Award, the New York City Book Award for Fiction, and was shortlisted for the National Book Critics Circle Award and the New York Public Library Young Lions Award. Teju Cole has contributed to New York Times, The New Yorker, Granta, Brick, and many other magazines. Akwekwe Emezi. Born 1987, Emezi is a National Book Foundation 535 honoree. She was born in Umuahia and raised in Aba, Nigeria. Her adult novel, The Death of Vivek Oji, was a New York Times bestseller, an indie bestseller, and an indie next selection, receiving rave reviews from the New York Times, USA Today, NPR, the LA Times, and the Washington Post. Her debut autobiographical novel, Freshwater, is in early development as a TV series at FX, with Emezi writing and producing with Tamara P. Carter. Translated into 12 languages, Freshwater won the 2019 Otherwise Award, formerly the Tiptree, and the Normal Book. It was a New York Times notable book, as well as a finalist for the Center for Fiction's first Nobel Prize, the PEN Hemingway Award, the NYPL Young Lions Fiction Award, the Edmund White Award for Debut Fiction, and a Lambda Literary Award. Beyond these writers are more individuals, old and young, using the power of the pen and ink to change the face and narrative of the country and the continent.
I was just calm. I just kept calm, like, okay, let's see what's going to happen next. And they were there that night till at about 11 or 12 late in the night. And then they brought a bus. So they packed all of us. The bus was empty, like they had removed everything inside the bus. They made us sit we sat in the bus and we drove. So we drove for a couple of hours. I can't remember how many hours, but like close to 7 hours. So on daybreak, I saw where we got to was like a house, very big house, gated, fenced and all that. And they just dropped us there and turned back. So I was surprised, like, So for the first time, and I had to ask the 4 ladies, the 3 other ladies that we left together, please, do you guys really know where exactly we are going to? Like, this whole thing is really looking blurry to me and I don't understand anything anymore. And they're like, even them too, they are even confused though. And to crown it up, they asked us not to talk to each other. They asked us not to say anything to each other. I don't understand. So I just looked everywhere and saw that, okay, there are batches and batches of people seated at different corners. Okay, so I really need to ask questions. So at that point, one Alaji came out, like he's one in charge of that house, and then he did say, okay, let's look for something to eat. All through this while we are not eating, and he said we should fix something to eat, and they made one spaghetti that didn't have salt, and it was so very funny. Like, so I just summoned courage. I went to meet the Alaji. I said, please sir, I need you to just be open and tell me what exactly is going on. Where am I, first of all? He said Duruku. I said, where is Duruku? He now said, how do I expect him to be able to explain that Duruku, that is what he knows, this place is Duruku. I said, okay, do you know where exactly I'm going to? Or do you know the person that brought me here? He was like, maybe Libya you they go. I said, Libya. I said, I'm not going to Libya. He said, I still say you be Johnny just come. Like, he said, you don't reach here. The only thing now for you make you they go the place where then they carry you, they go say they go come carry you tomorrow night. And he refused to say anything afterwards. So I went to sit down and relayed what he said to the other ladies. And everybody became very, very, very like upset and curious, like, okay, let's even find out. So just at that time, there was a lady in the particular room that had like 5 big bags, Ghana must go bags, big ones. So she said she was going back to Kano, that she stays in Kano. She sells gold and clothes. She speaks Yoruba. So she was explaining to one of the ladies. So that was the first instance where I started hearing information. And I just didn't want to believe. Honestly, I didn't believe at that point that maybe that is what we are in. But what she explained to the lady was that we are either being transported to Libya for prostitution or Italy. And then the lady said, she told her that no, the person that took us said we are going to Malaysia. And the lady now laughed and said that is what they will tell you, and that this is her 5th time going through this route. That was the same way she was deceived, but she ran away and was able to find someone who helped her, and eventually that was the person she got married to, and now they are doing like a legal business. She goes there, buys stuff and goes back to Kano to go sell. So I said, no, it cannot be possible. Like, we all agreed that it cannot be possible, because that was not what they told us. Looking at what the first guy told us, what the magician guy told us, what the lady told us, that it cannot be possible, that maybe hers is a different kind of connection. So fast forward from there, they came to pick us the next night in a Hilux, arranged us, and we drove for like 3 days non-stop. Okay, we had 2 stopovers. The first stopover was in a very cold, white place. Like, I have never seen that kind of cold in my life before. I was shivering to the brain. Like, I just couldn't imagine why I was going through this. Like, if these people really want to help me, this is not a way to help someone. You cannot be helping someone and the person is in pain. So, but I couldn't really say much because I was already in it. So we drove for days, and on the 3rd day where we stopped was really looking like, I didn't know what to call the place. There were thousands of people, young ladies, guys, and they were calling it ghetto. This is ghetto. They're calling the particular ghetto. The ghetto had a name, and they said, okay, now we can go and have our bath. So for the first time after 7 days, we're going to 8 days. We're going to have our bath and have change of clothes. So first of all, my concern was to even just let me even have a bath first and find something tangible to eat. So they made rice. We ate. In the midst of eating, I started hearing conversations. So I said, okay, since they said we should not talk to anybody, no problem. I'm going to find out everything I need to find out, and if possible, go back from here. So during conversations, I heard people saying, they will tell you everything possible, that here it is Libya they're taking you to. You either go and work as a housemaid, or you go and work in connection house, all manner of things. And at that point, it really dawned on me that what that lady had said earlier was very true. So the other 3 ladies, 2 of them now came to meet me when I was sitting down. I like, see what I am hearing. I said, okay, even me too. I heard the same thing. And we're like, are we sure we want to continue this journey? So at that point, I was really upset with myself not to have verified whatever information I got. I started crying. I was in pain. Like, why will I be going through this? Like, no. Even if, for crying out loud, this is not help. This is like putting me in a pit where I can't talk, I can't communicate. Now there is no communication, nothing. So I looked around. We were there till the next day, and then there was this particular guy, Mohammed, that was giving out clothes, was calling out names and all. So I walked up to him and said, please, at this junction, I don't think I want to continue this journey. Can you help me? I want to go back home. And then he said, that what I just asked is very dangerous. That if it was yesterday when I came that I said that it would have been, maybe you can manage or think of how to go about it. That already the person that I'm being taken to knows I'm here. Whatever makes me not get to her, he has to be the one to pay for me. I'm like, pay for me as how? He said, somebody paid for you to be brought to her, and pay transit, they pay additional money just to be sure that the person is being carried along. And I was like, okay, so how much does it cost to get up to this point? And if I'm to go back from here, I can actually call them, tell them I don't want to continue this journey and I want to go back home. He said, it's either of 2 things. It's either you get home or you don't get home. They might tell you to go. They'll either kidnap you and sell you to a place where you'll never be able to come out from, or they might even kill you. That he would advise me to just go and face my fate, but I should pray that whoever I'm going to go and meet is not a bad person. And I asked that, why did he say so? He said he cannot say anything more. That I'm here, and the only way forward is to move forward. I was like, okay. I was broken. I couldn't even tell the other ladies what he had said. I summoned courage to eventually see. So that night, they put us in a hilux. We're about 36 or 32 of us. And they made us sit in rows in the hilux. So we drove for like 3 days. We had a couple of stopovers, but I was really choked up because I was seated back in the hilux. So everybody's weight was resting on me, and it was hell for me. I couldn't breathe at some point. My legs were dead. I couldn't move. Even when we stopped, I took like minutes. Most of us took like minutes to even be able to stand up. And I was like, no. But even if I were to travel by road, he did say he was going to be at some point. At least by now, the traveling by road should have stopped. And that was... So I remembered what the other guy said at the... where we were. That there's no flight, anything. They deceived you. Everything they told you was just to cajole you to decide to go. That there is no flight anywhere. You're going by road to wherever you're going to. So at that point, I was just concerned with one thing, which is surviving and coming back home at all cost. So after the first stopover, I became sick a little bit. I started having too many issues. So I decided not to sit in the hillocks again. And then I had to sit at the edge on top of the tire box. And then I had a stick in between my legs. So they made ladies sit inside the hillocks, and then the guys would sit around the hillocks. But because of my previous experience, I had difficulties breathing. I said I wasn't going to sit inside the hillocks again, that I was going to sit at the edge. So I did sit on the edge of the hillocks and had a stick to hold on to, and we drove for another couple of days. The experience in the desert was, it's not sometimes when I think about it, I just smile. My smiling is not that, okay, I'm happy, but I wonder how I was able to pull through. I wonder how I was able to manage my health. I wonder how I was able to cope up mentally, emotionally, thinking about everything I had left back at home, everyone. I kept them in the dark. I didn't really say much. And then thinking about the people who deceived me, like, if you want to help someone, you should help someone and not even put them into more problems. So a lot of things were racing through my mind. I got so discouraged at my own life. I felt really bad that I was impatient. I didn't ask questions. Of all places, why would I be going to Libya to do what? Like, I wasn't even, I couldn't really define the feelings I had then. But at each point, what I always did was to just pray to God that, God, I know that I have done wrong not to have even, look out for my own self. But I am asking for just one thing. Wherever I'm going to, make sure you take me back home, healed and healthy. So we had another stopover. I got beaten along the way by Arab men. I was trying to save someone from getting beaten wrongly, and I got the beating. Difficulty, there was no food, there was no water, the weather was, the sun would be shining and scorching, and the cold was extremely cold. Like, I couldn't really, there was no definition of everything that was going on. I was just bleak and blank. At the point, I was regretting every step from my friend. I started cursing, like, so she knew about this. That was why at the point she disappeared. She didn't really see anything. And even when I asked her about it, she pretended not to know anything about traveling. That this guy didn't tell her anything about traveling. But I'm like, but you introduced me to this guy, so it's not possible for him to come tell me something about traveling and you didn't know. I thought so far and wide to the point where I felt, okay, I know I'm not going to die. I know I'm not going to die. I know I will go back home, and I'm so going to fish these people out and really find out the reason why they ever did such to me. At some point, I became very ill. I had very bad cough because I refused to sit again at that point. We had sat for like 3 days. So all my ties were burnt and peeled from the sitting. And the hillocks, the speed at which the hillocks was moving was really high. It wouldn't stop. At a point, a guy fell off the hillocks and they didn't wait. They didn't wait. The drivers were so mean. We don't understand their language. They don't understand our language. So even when you're beckoning on them to say, oh, something is going on. There was a time a guy was throwing up. He was feeling, okay, I think it was about throwing up. So we're like, okay, maybe if he stops. We tried beckoning on them, and if they come out, the next thing they do is to maybe hit you with something, saying all manner of languages we didn't understand. We couldn't speak to them. They couldn't speak to us. It was hell for me. So because my laps were peeled, I couldn't sit again. So I now stood behind the pavement of the main hillocks box. And then that journey was for 5 days. 5 days of cold, 5 days, as in I couldn't breathe. Like at some point, I would just cry and scream out loud. Like, I wish the sky could even feel my pain. Like, there was no definition to what I was going through. And I just kept crying and crying and crying. After crying, I'll console myself. You're just crying. You see, everybody here, they also have one reason to cry. So they cannot shoulder you and tell you sorry. So you alone will have to shoulder your pain. And that hurt me so bad. Sometimes when people see me talk about the story and I'm not really showing so much emotions, they feel, oh, we're not too sure you went through this. I have said it like 1,000,001 times. It's something I went through, and I can imagine how I had to just tell myself that, come, you have a child back home that you love. You need to be alive to come back to her. That was my source of strength. And the life I really wanted for myself ever before embarking on that journey just kept me going, that I know one day I am going to eventually come back and say this story to people. So at that point, remembering and recalling everything, one question kept popping in my head: why will people not have any other thing to do other than to do a business where you transport people to an unknown country, you lie to them, you deceive them, you promise them heaven and earth, and then put them on a dangerous path where is either they make it or they don't make it, and you will not even tell them any of this. So I was bent on making it to wherever it is. I said to myself, no matter how wicked whoever it is I'm going to go and meet is, I'm going to come back home and know the reason why people really did this problem, this business. On getting to Sabah is halfway into Libya. On getting to Sabah, we had a connection house where they put us. We met about 60 ladies in the room, and then the guys also had their room. And they kept adding us. They kept adding. And at a point, I counted, we were about 80 in that room, the ladies' room. The guys were about 40-something. The food was really bad. You know, having to make banku. Now, this is not even the original banku. This is the banku made with flour. Having to make flour like fufu. And then maybe they'll serve like 20 plates down. And then everybody will now line up. By the time you're eating, it's as though you're eating stone, you're swallowing stone. The soup was so watery that you won't even, you're not. The very first day I was asking myself, like, I know I had challenges back at home, but my challenges were not so bad that I couldn't even eat a good meal. Like, this is not a meal. So the first day we had that in the night. The next day we had rice, very small portion of the rice was dried. You can imagine when you boil rice and then you open it, you put it in a plate and you just open it down. And because the weather is very cold, so anything you don't keep properly dries up. So by the time you're eating the rice and like it's like you're eating rubber. So at some point we just sit there crying out that no, this is not life. This is not, why are we having to go through this? I would cry every night. I would beg God that please, can I just vanish from here? Okay, at the point I was begging for death to come because it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. And within ourselves, some girls were like, they were really radical about it, and they were like, no, we need to tell them, it's either they change the way they are doing this food, or maybe we should even take up the cooking by ourselves. So I thought of it. I was like, okay, that's true. So if already I'm going through hell and then food now has to be a problem. So we waited for the ghetto man, the person in charge of the ghetto, like we waited for him to come. We kept shouting, when is he coming? When is he coming? We don't even know why we are here. We don't even know what we are doing here. So at that time we had stayed a week. We don't know why we are being kept here. We don't know who even put us here. We don't even know anything. Nobody is saying anything. So when the connection man did come, we took turns to ask questions. I noticed everybody was just asking questions. Where are we going to? Where are we going to? And all. So I did ask him. I said, okay, first of all, why are we here? Do you have an answer, or do you know the reason why we are here? And then he said, you are here because you're being transported to your burger. And then we now asked, what is the meaning of a burger? He said a burger is a person that paid for you to be transported from Nigeria. So we're like, is that the reason why we are being given bad food? Like when you're given something to swallow and it's already hurting your throat, like practically almost everybody had sore throat from that banku. And it was like, okay, he doesn't know anything about the way the food was being prepared, but that this place is just a transit, and the reason why we are here is because the road is bad, there is war, and they cannot transport us. It's very risky, and that we might meet rebels on the way, and rebels, they either rape, kill, abduct. And we're like, okay, so for how long are we going to be here? He said, doesn't know until the war is over. So if it takes 1 month, if it takes 2 months, but just know that for every food you are eating, for every extra thing you collect here, your money is piling up. It is your burger that is paying, and when you get to wherever you're going to, you have to work to pay your burger back. So we now, 5 of us volunteered to be cooking our food by ourselves, and we were there for extra 2 weeks and some days. In total, we were there for 3 weeks and 5 days. And then we started the journey to Libya. That was where I had a near-death experience. So we were somewhere, we were kept in a particular house where they locked us. There was no light, nothing. And then we were pressed. We had traveled, we had drove for like 2 days, and they put us there. So, but before we entered, we were already beckoning on this people that we want to ease, we want to ease. They didn't even want to listen. They were just pushing us like, how can you people just be pushing somebody like animals? We don't even know where we're going. Like, this is very unthinkable. So I held that urine. For good 2 days. So the next morning when they came, you now see them begging that, please, we want to wee. So the man was, arrogantly, he was talking, and he went to get a gallon, like this aluminum gallon. We now looked at it that, how a guy can pee in this, but how can a lady pee in this? And from the descriptions he was giving us, he meant that we shouldn't allow the pee to spill on the floor. So we said, okay, all the guys should pee first and the ladies would take turns to pee, which was what happened. And somehow pee actually spilled. So by the time he was coming back, when he opened the door, so the pee, pee wouldn't, and you can imagine pee that stayed, the smell, it was awful. He was angry. He went back, he went to get a stick, and he was holding like 3 different things. So I was wondering, what does this guy want to do? At that point, everybody had their heart in their mouth, because the moment you see them holding anything, they can hit you anywhere. So he was now asking who spilled pee on the floor. They were pointing to the wrong person. So I was just watching initially. They were pointing to and he was going to start beating her. So I was not like trying to say, no, she wasn't the one. You see, when that spring landed on my head, this spring they use in water closet. Very strong and thick. And all I knew that was going on was that I was screaming at the top of my voice with both hands on my head, because it actually hit me on my head. And when I gave birth, like 8 months, when I was 8 months pregnant, I fell in the bathtub and had a slit on my head from the tiles in the bathroom. So sometimes that part of the head still hurts. So when he hit that spring on my head, it was exactly on that spot, and he did it like 3 times. He kept hitting the spring on me. I remember crying till I didn't know what was going on. And for the first time, when they say people have transition, I always wonder. I knew I was just lost somewhere.